Amit Rajan to talk about which way really the segment is headed. Amit, hi, good morning. What is it that you're making of the recent Form 483 is issued to Indian drug firms? And do you think the US FDA has got stricter with Indian companies of late?
Morning. See, issuance of Form 483 is a part of the pharmaceutical business, especially when you are in the US market. Issuance of 483 should not be worried about, because see, it shows you that you are a live plant, you have an interest in US business, and you have been making mistakes, and FDA wants you to correct. But looking at the current inspections, what Pankaj was mentioning before me is, if you see, India probably has moved on the oral dosage form, the tablet and capsules in the oral dosage form. But for the steriles, we still have to work hard, because if you look back and see, more than 80% of the Indian pharma companies who are into sterile manufacturing, like injectables, they have been approved by the US FDA on a VAI status. Let me tell you, for the benefit of your viewers, see, VAI is not an appreciation of your quality. VAI is just telling you that you are a minimum level of compliance, and we have given you this approval because, again, I am telling you that US needs you. US FDA needs Indian companies to improve, and that's why, as Pankaj was mentioning, that despite having multiple inspections and failures at Sun, Aurobindo and Dr. Reddy's, now these sites are getting a VAI status because they want you to move on. However, VAI again is a big rap on your knuckles. So injectable companies in India have to be careful. They have to really buck up their quality systems. And there are designs which FDA is putting up at you to ensure that you pass on at the first time, but somehow we are lagging behind in our safety practices, and that is where you get a lot of queries on steriles and a lot of inspections after happening at mostly on the injectable sites.
Okay. Just wanted to get in a take then, Amit. Do you think that the wording of the US FDA is perhaps harsher than it was earlier when it comes to the inspection of some plants? Question is, the kind of reaction sometimes that we see to the stock prices, would that as well be justified?
See, look at the wording. That's why I go back again to your VAI. What exactly is VAI? The company is given a VAI status and told to them that, look, I'm giving you 12 months time to improve. Any company which got a VAI status has to be re-inspected by the FDA within 12 months time. And that's why the wording is very strong. He said, okay, I'm giving you a rap on the knuckle, but improve it, my inspectors are going to come after 12 months. And if you don't improve, because see, there is no point in giving a warning letter again to a site which is already serving a warning letter. It doesn't fit in the FDA systems. So whether it was a Biocon or whether it was a Dr. Reddy's or whether Aurobindo or a Sun and Lupin, see, everybody is now getting a VAI status because FDA is trying them, and that's why FDA uses harsh language, and they want a complete and very comprehensive response from the company. And if they don't do it, then you have Wockhardt and Ipca kind of company which are sitting and waiting for the re-inspections.
Okay. Also wanted to understand really, 2009 to 10, US FDA suddenly got very strict with Indian pharma plants. Do you think this is somewhat of a repeat of the same trend that we are seeing, and investments of Indian companies in plants will only increase for better FDA compliance then?
Yes, partly yes and partly no. I tell you, see, now you know that unlike past 10 years back, the inspections are all fully paid, and you actually have to pay annually to a huge amount of money to the FDA. Now what's happening with the Indian companies is they are putting up their all ANDAs and all APIs in one plant to just avoid the JADUFA fee, because you only pay for one site. The moment you put in different therapeutic category products in one multi-purpose plant, you raise a different concern with the FDA, and that's what is called product changeover cleaning. And that's why what you saw in API plant of Dr. Reddy's and Aurobindo's plant in the other units. So what's happening is, to avoid JADUFA, the Indian companies are putting number of filings from one single unit, and the one single unit has gone into a better control that was required for product changeover cleaning, and that's where we are making mistakes. At the same time, yes, knowing well that injectable requires a good facility, there are companies like Torrent, Cadla Healthcare, they have put in one of the best state-of-the-art facilities for injectable. But again, injectable is not only facility, it also is about practices. And unfortunately, we have not worked on having a set of good people in this country who can be aseptic manufacturing experts and putting good aseptic practices at the plant. So this is where even the investments are going into the manufacturing units. You are not training your people to go for aseptic practices improvement, and that's where steriles again, injectable units are coming under cloud.
Okay. Now, when it comes to looking at individual plants, when we're talking about the Halol plant or the Unit 4 of Aurobindo or any of the other major plants that has the space of inspection, you have seen the inspection increasing in these plants, sometimes inspected more than once or twice a year. How much of a concern would this be?
No, see, don't get unnecessarily worried about the number of inspections that a site happens. See, a site gets a GMP inspection which after a life cycle. Dr. Reddy's, Arbindo's, Cadla Healthcare. These are the companies which have been supplying in US market for last 15 years. So there is a GMP component which is a periodic component. So the plant has to be inspected for a GMP compliance. At the same time, the same company files new ANDAs from that factory, and that invites a PAI. That's what answering Pankaj's question is, that why Halol was inspected twice again after the VAI was issued for the Halol plant, because both these inspections were PAI inspection, because they were new filings from the Sun Pharma and the inspectors came to review your data particularly to the product. So this review has to happen at the site. It cannot happen in the corporate office. It cannot happen online. So that's why you see FDA visiting your site again and again. So there are two components on FDA inspection. One is the GMP component, which you are reviewed on a periodic basis anyway as a supplier. And B, you file new drugs, and once you get a critical mass like 3 or 4 or 5 ANDAs from the same factory, the FDA does what is called a pre-approval inspection. So that's why these units are under constant FDA audit, as you see.
Okay, Amit, good speaking with you. Thanks much for taking the time out and joining in.
Yeah, thanks. Always a pleasure.